In this story, Rachel, a strict store manager, makes the mistake of denying a return to a customer, only to discover that the customer is none other than Mia Davidson, the owner of the company. What follows is a journey of redemption and transformation as Rachel learns the true value of empathy and customer service. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales of growth and leadership. It was a busy Thursday afternoon at TrendStyle, a well-known fashion retailer. The flagship store, located in the heart of the city, was bustling with activity. The store manager, Rachel, was overseeing everything from new stock deliveries to handling employee issues. She had been working at TrendStyle for over 5 years, and she took pride in her role. Today, she was particularly irritated, as she had already dealt with several customer complaints. Between managing returns, dealing with difficult customers, and her strained relationship with the regional manager, Rachel felt the weight of her responsibilities. As Rachel directed the team and resolved various issues, she noticed a well-dressed woman standing in line at the customer service desk. The woman held a shopping bag and a receipt, and although she looked patient, there was a noticeable determination in her eyes. Rachel sighed as she realized the woman was likely there to make a return. She had dealt with many problematic returns that day, customers trying to take advantage of sales or returning items without proper receipts. Little did Rachel know, this seemingly ordinary encounter was about to change everything. The woman approached the counter as her turn came, placing a dress on the counter and showing her receipt. "I bought this a week ago, and I'd like to return it," she said politely. Rachel, already in a foul mood, glanced at the receipt without giving it much attention. The purchase was made 7 days ago, just at the cutoff point for returns. However, Rachel was feeling particularly strict today. She didn't bother inspecting the condition of the dress. Instead, she saw it as another tedious request during her stressful day. "I'm sorry," Rachel said curtly, "but we don't accept returns after 5 days. You should have returned this sooner." The customer raised an eyebrow. "Your return policy clearly states 7 days on the receipt," she pointed out, her voice still calm. Rachel crossed her arms, unwilling to budge. "That's not how we do things here. Policy or not, I'm not accepting this return," she replied sharply, making her decision final. The customer hesitated for a moment, clearly not expecting this kind of resistance. "Are you sure?" she asked, now a little more insistent, but Rachel, feeling the need to assert her authority, simply nodded. "I'm very sure. You'll have to leave now." As the customer left the counter, Rachel felt a brief sense of satisfaction. She had maintained control, or so she thought. The woman walked towards the exit, but before leaving, she stopped and made a quick phone call. Rachel was already moving on to the next issue, so she didn't notice the glance the customer shot her way. 5 minutes passed before a phone call came through on the store's landline. Rachel picked it up casually, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. "TrendStyle. How may I help you?" she asked in her usual formal tone. "Is this Rachel, the store manager?" the voice on the other end asked. It was authoritative, calm, but with a hint of surprise. "Yes, speaking," Rachel replied. "This is Mia Davidson, owner of TrendStyle. I was just in your store and was denied a return for a valid purchase. I'd like to discuss your customer service standards." Rachel felt the ground beneath her shift. Her heart raced as her mind processed the name. Mia Davidson, the elusive owner of TrendStyle, a woman she had never met, was the customer she had just refused service to. Panic set in instantly. The situation had escalated beyond her control in a matter of minutes, and Rachel knew she had made a terrible mistake. All her confidence from earlier crumbled as the weight of her actions hit her. This was no ordinary customer. This was the woman who owned the very store she managed. Rachel's fingers gripped the phone tighter as Mia Davidson's voice echoed through the line. There was a cold, commanding tone in her words that shook Rachel to the core. "I believe you misunderstood my intention when I attempted to return that dress," Mia continued, with a calm authority that masked her clear disappointment. Rachel could feel the heat rising in her face, her mind racing with excuses, but none of them seemed strong enough to fix the situation she had created. I'm terribly sorry, Miss Davidson. I didn't realize, I had no idea that," Rachel stammered, trying to explain away her behavior, but she knew it was useless. Her attempt to assert authority had backfired spectacularly. Mia remained composed on the other end of the line. "I understand mistakes happen," she said, her voice unwavering. "But what concerns me is your attitude towards customers. I'm the owner, yes, but what if I had been just another shopper? Would you have treated them the same way?" Rachel couldn't answer right away. Mia's question lingered, and Rachel realized she had no defense. She had allowed her bad mood to influence her behavior. "Miss Davidson, I'll make it right. Please allow me to fix this," Rachel pleaded, desperate to salvage her job. Mia paused before speaking again, her voice as sharp as ever. "I'll be back in the store shortly. We can discuss it in person." The line went dead, leaving Rachel standing there, numb with panic. Rachel's heart was racing as she placed the phone back on its receiver. She glanced around the store, the usual bustling activity suddenly feeling suffocating. She was the manager, and she was supposed to be in control. Yet now she felt like a student waiting outside the principal's office, anticipating punishment. How could she have been so careless? Of all the customers to deny a return, it had to be Mia Davidson, the woman who controlled her paycheck, her future, and her reputation. As the minutes ticked by, each second felt heavier. Rachel replayed the interaction in her mind, realizing how dismissive she had been. If only she had taken a closer look at the return, read the receipt more carefully. If only she had listened instead of trying to rush the woman out of the store. Each thought was a painful reminder of her mistake. Her staff began to notice her anxiety. Jane, one of the junior employees, approached her cautiously. "Everything okay, Rachel?" Jane asked, her voice filled with concern. Rachel forced a smile, but it barely masked her worry. "Everything's fine," she lied, knowing that nothing was fine. Not now. Not with Mia Davidson on her way back to the store. The automatic doors slid open, and Mia Davidson walked back into the store. She was dressed just as impeccably as before, her demeanor calm but with an unmistakable air of authority. Rachel saw her enter and felt her stomach drop. Mia's presence commanded respect, and despite her cool exterior, Rachel could sense the disappointment radiating from her. For a brief moment, Rachel thought about running into the back room, but she quickly shook the idea from her mind. This was her responsibility, and she had to face it head-on. Mia made her way to the service counter, but this time she wasn't carrying the dress she had previously tried to return. She stood there, waiting, and Rachel knew she had to approach her. Mustering up what little courage she had left, Rachel walked over to Mia. "Miss Davidson," Rachel began, her voice cracking slightly, "I'm so sorry for earlier. I didn't realize who you were, and I made a huge mistake." Mia looked at her, her expression unwritable. "It's not about who I am," Mia replied coolly. "It's about how you treat every customer. Whether they own the company or not, they deserve respect and fair treatment." Rachel swallowed hard, nodding in agreement. "I understand, and I'm prepared to make it right," she said, hoping Mia would give her a chance to redeem herself. But Mia wasn't about to let her off that easily. Mia took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the store for a moment before returning to Rachel. "This store, my company, runs on more than just sales," Mia began, her voice measured but firm. "It runs on customer loyalty, on trust, and on the service we provide to every person who walks through that door. Without that, we're just another retail store with no heart." Rachel nodded vigorously, feeling small under Mia's steady gaze. "I understand that now, and I really am sorry," Rachel said, trying to keep her voice steady. Mia raised a hand to stop her. "I don't need apologies right now," she said. "I need action. What I want from you, Rachel, is to reflect on how you handle these situations. Take a step back and think about whether the customer in front of you is just a task to complete or a person who deserves respect." Rachel felt a lump in her throat. It wasn't just about the return anymore. It was about her entire approach to customer service. She had prided herself on efficiency, but somewhere along the way, she had lost sight of the human element. "You're right," Rachel admitted quietly. "I've let my stress and frustration get the better of me." Mia nodded, satisfied with Rachel's admission, but she wasn't done yet. Mia leaned in slightly, her voice lowering but not losing its edge. "Here's what's going to happen, Rachel. You're going to personally issue me a refund for that dress. Then, you're going to spend the rest of the day working the customer service desk. I want you to see what it's like from the customer's perspective. Not as the manager, but as the one handling returns, complaints, and everything else. Understand? Rachel's eyes widened at the request. She hadn't worked the customer service desk in years, and the thought of dealing with difficult customers for the rest of the day was overwhelming. But she knew better than to argue. This was a test, a way to prove she could change. Yes, Miss Davidson, Rachel replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Mia smiled, but it wasn't a smile of triumph. It was the kind of smile that told Rachel this was more than just a punishment. It was a lesson, and Mia wanted her to learn it well. Good, Mia said. Let's get started, shall we? Rachel walked over to the register, her hands shaking slightly as she processed the return she had denied earlier. Mia watched quietly, and as the transaction completed, Rachel felt a strange sense of relief. It wasn't over, but at least she was making amends. Rachel hadn't worked the customer service desk since she first started at TrendStyle years ago. At that time, she was eager to learn, energetic, and open to every challenge. Now, after years of managing the store, she realized how far she had drifted from those early days. She had become more focused on sales numbers, efficiency, and handling issues as quickly as possible. But today, under Mia's watchful eye, she had no choice but to slow down and take each interaction seriously. As Rachel stood behind the counter, she felt exposed, vulnerable. The store was still buzzing with customers, and every time someone approached the desk, her stomach twisted. Her first customer was a middle-aged woman with a return, an item that had been bought during a sale. Rachel greeted her warmly, forcing herself to smile and maintain eye contact, something she hadn't bothered to do earlier. Hi, how can I help you today? She asked. The woman explained that the item didn't fit, but she wasn't sure if it was eligible for a return due to the sale. Normally, Rachel would have dismissed it, but this time she carefully checked the receipt and confirmed it was eligible. No problem at all, Rachel said, processing the return with care. The woman smiled, thanked her, and left. As simple as the exchange was, Rachel felt a small sense of accomplishment. Maybe Mia's lesson was already starting to sink in. Just as Rachel began to feel more confident handling the desk, her next customer walked up, an irritated man clutching a bag and visibly frowning. Rachel braced herself. I need to return this, he said, his voice sharp. It's defective, and I'm not happy. Rachel opened the bag and took out a shirt, but she saw no visible issues. I'm sorry to hear that, she said calmly. Can you show me what's wrong with it? The man huffed and pointed to a barely noticeable flaw in the stitching. Look at this. It's ridiculous. I paid good money for this. In the past, Rachel might have dismissed him or given a quick excuse. But now, under Mia's gaze and her new sense of accountability, she took a different approach. You're right, she said after carefully inspecting the shirt. This isn't the quality we strive for at TrendStyle. I'll process your return immediately, and if you'd like, I can help you find a replacement. The man seemed taken aback by her politeness and willingness to help. Sure, he muttered, calming down. As Rachel processed the return, she realized that small gestures of respect could diffuse even the toughest customers. The man left with a new shirt and a much better attitude. Mia, who had been observing from a distance, nodded approvingly. As the day wore on, Rachel found herself reflecting more deeply on her past behavior. She had been running the store like a machine, focusing on policies, numbers, and rules without giving enough thought to the customers who came through the doors every day. Working behind the counter again forced her to reconnect with the human side of retail, the side she had neglected for too long. Handling returns wasn't just about issuing refunds. It was about listening to people, understanding their frustrations, and finding ways to make their experience better. When the store closed for the night, Rachel was exhausted, not physically but mentally. The constant pressure of handling customers, coupled with Mia's quiet scrutiny, had taken its toll. As she cleaned up the counter area, Mia approached her, her expression soft but still serious. You did well today, Mia said, leaning on the counter. You handled things with grace, and I can see that you've learned something. Rachel looked at her, feeling both relieved and humbled. Thank you, she replied. I never realized how much I'd lost touch with the core of customer service. Mia smiled faintly. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind. But remember, every customer is a chance to make or break this store's reputation. Rachel nodded, knowing now that this lesson would stay with her for the rest of her career. After her long day working the customer service desk, Rachel knew she wasn't off the hook yet. She still had to have a more formal conversation with Mia about her future at the store. Mia hadn't mentioned any consequences for Rachel's earlier actions yet, and that uncertainty gnawed at her. The two women sat down in the small office at the back of the store. It was a modest space, filled with files, schedules, and paperwork, Rachel's usual domain, where she felt most in control. But tonight, she was anything but in control. Mia sat across from her, calm and collected as always. "Rachel," she began, "you've been a part of this company for a long time. You've managed this store for years, and you've done a lot of good work. But today, what I saw wasn't just about a return policy issue. It was about how you view the people who walk into this store." Rachel felt the weight of Mia's words sink in. "I understand that now," she replied, her voice soft. "I got so caught up in the numbers and the stress that I forgot what this job is really about." "I'm sorry." Mia nodded but didn't soften her gaze. "Apologies are a good start, but actions speak louder. What are you going to do to change?" Rachel had been expecting this question, but still she took a moment before answering. "I need to get back to the basics of customer service," she said thoughtfully. "I've been managing the store from a distance, but I need to spend more time on the floor, talking to customers, understanding their needs. I also need to set a better example for my staff. If I'm dismissive, they'll be dismissive too." Mia considered her words carefully, her expression softening just slightly. "That's a good start," she said, "but I'll be watching to make sure you follow through. I won't tolerate another situation like today's. Understood?" Rachel nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and determination. Mia could have fired her on the spot, but instead, she was giving her a second chance. "Thank you for giving me this opportunity," Rachel said sincerely. Mia stood up, signaling that the conversation was over for now. "Don't thank me yet," she replied. "Prove to me that you deserve it." With that, Mia left the office, leaving Rachel alone to process everything that had happened that day. The exhaustion hit her all at once, but underneath it, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't just going to manage the store anymore, she was going to lead by example. The next morning, Rachel arrived at the store earlier than usual. After yesterday's events, she knew she had to start making changes immediately. Her first order of business was to meet with her staff. They had all witnessed her working the customer service desk, and some of them had asked questions, curious about why the manager was handling returns. Rachel had brushed them off at the time, but now she knew she had to address it. Gathering her team in the break room before the store opened, Rachel felt a nervous energy in the room. Her staff had always respected her as a manager, but she wasn't sure how they would react to the changes she was about to implement. "I wanted to talk to you all about something important," she began. "Yesterday, I realized that I haven't been leading this store the way I should. I've been too focused on efficiency and not enough on the customer experience." She paused, letting her words sink in. "That's going to change starting today." The team was quiet, but Rachel could see a mix of curiosity and hesitation in their faces. Change was never easy, especially in a store where routines had been set for years. "From now on, I'll be spending more time on the floor," Rachel continued. "I want to get to know our customers better and help you all improve how we handle service. If we want this store to succeed, we need to go above and beyond for the people who walk through those doors." One of the junior employees, Jane, raised her hand timidly. "So, you're going to be working with us directly?" she asked, surprised. Rachel smiled and nodded. "Yes, Jane, I'll be right there with you, handling everything from customer complaints to helping people find the perfect outfit. I want all of us to be a team, and that starts with me showing you how important every customer is." The mood in the room began to shift. Rachel could sense her staff warming to the idea. They weren't used to seeing their manager on the floor, but they respected the fact that she was willing to work alongside them. Rachel left the meeting feeling a renewed sense of hope. It was just the beginning, but she knew that change was already in motion. That afternoon, Rachel was on the floor, helping customers as she had promised. For the most part, things were going smoothly. She felt more connected to the store, to the customers, and to her team than she had in years. But she knew there would be challenges ahead, and sure enough, her first major test arrived in the form of a difficult customer. A middle-aged woman stormed up to the counter, visibly frustrated. "I've been waiting for someone to help me for 15 minutes, and I can't find anyone," she snapped. Rachel immediately stepped forward, her instincts kicking in. "I'm so sorry about the wait," she said calmly. "How can I assist you today?" The woman's glare softened slightly at Rachel's professionalism, but she was still irritated. "I'm looking for a dress I saw online, but I can't find it anywhere in the store," she huffed. Rachel knew that the situation could escalate if she didn't handle it carefully. "Let's find it together," Rachel offered. "If we don't have it in stock, I can order it for you and have it delivered to your home." The woman hesitated but nodded, appreciating the personal attention. Rachel walked her through the store, searching for the item. After a few minutes, they found it, and the woman's frustration melted away. "Thank you," she said, her tone much softer now. "I really appreciate your help." Rachel smiled. It was a small victory, but it proved that her new approach was working. The encounter with the frustrated customer left Rachel feeling more confident about her approach. She had managed to de-escalate a tense situation, which in the past might have turned into a complaint. As she returned to the floor, Rachel could sense that her staff were watching her closely. Some of them had doubted whether she could truly adapt to this new style of management, but after seeing how she handled the tough customer, they seemed impressed. One of the newer employees, Evan, approached her after the incident. "That was great, Rachel. I've never seen someone calm down a customer like that before," he said, his admiration evident. Rachel smiled, appreciating the compliment, but knowing that it wasn't about her alone. "Thanks, Evan. It's important to remember that people just want to feel heard and valued. If we give them that, it makes all the difference." Rachel hoped her actions would inspire her team to adopt the same mindset. She knew that trust wouldn't be built overnight, but moments like these were a step in the right direction. A week later, just as Rachel was beginning to settle into her new role on the floor, she received an unexpected call from the company's headquarters. Mia Davidson was returning to the store, this time with a group of high-ranking executives. The visit was set for the following week, and the news sent a ripple of excitement and nervousness through the store. The staff knew that Mia's presence meant a high-stakes review of how the store was being managed, and everyone wanted to be at their best. Rachel, on the other hand, felt a mix of emotions. While she had been working hard to improve the store's customer service, she wasn't sure if Mia had noticed any of her efforts. A visit from headquarters meant scrutiny on a larger scale. "We'll need to be ready for anything," Rachel told her team during their morning meeting. "Mia will be looking at everything from how we handle customer interactions to how we maintain the store. This is our chance to show her how much we've grown." The staff nodded in agreement, rallying behind her leadership. Rachel hoped they could live up to the expectations set before them. The days leading up to Mia Davidson's visit were tense, but Rachel used the time to prepare the store meticulously. She worked closely with her staff, ensuring that every section of the store was in perfect order and that they were all trained on handling difficult customers with grace. Rachel knew that Mia's visit wasn't just about how well the store looked, it was also about how it functioned, and more importantly, how the staff interacted with customers. To keep morale high, Rachel took time to individually meet with her team members, asking them about their experiences on the floor and encouraging them to share any concerns. She wanted her staff to feel like they were all part of a collective effort, rather than just following orders. Her leadership style had softened in the weeks since her wake-up call from Mia, and it was beginning to show. Jane, the junior employee, approached Rachel during one of their meetings. "You've really changed how we work here," Jane said quietly. "I can tell that you care more about what happens on the floor, and it's made us all feel more connected." Rachel smiled, grateful for the positive feedback. "Thanks, Jane. I'm just trying to make things better for all of us." The day of Mia Davidson's visit finally arrived, The atmosphere in the store was electric, with a mix of nervous energy and excitement. Rachel dressed sharply, wanting to present herself as a confident leader despite the butterflies in her stomach. She greeted her team with a reassuring smile, though she felt the weight of the day pressing down on her. They had prepared for this moment, but now it was time to put everything they had practiced into action. Mia arrived with several top executives in tow, all dressed in professional attire and armed with notebooks and sharp eyes. As they entered the store, Mia's gaze immediately swept across the shop floor, taking in the displays, the layout, and the overall presentation. Rachel approached her with a calm demeanor. "Good morning, Miss Davidson," she said warmly, extending her hand. "We're ready for you." Mia shook her hand, her expression unreadable. "Let's see how things are going, Rachel," she said. "I'm hoping to see some real improvement since our last conversation." Mia led the executives on a detailed tour of the store, paying close attention to every corner. She occasionally asked Rachel questions about the displays, the inventory, and how certain decisions were made. Rachel answered each question confidently, knowing that she had been deeply involved in every aspect of the store's operation for the past few weeks. Mia's poker face made it hard to tell if she was impressed or not, but Rachel kept her composure. As they moved through the store, a few customers approached, and Rachel took the opportunity to show Mia how her approach had changed. When a young woman asked for help finding a specific item, Rachel stepped in immediately, assisting the customer with a smile and ensuring that her experience was smooth. Mia watched the interaction closely, but said nothing. The silence felt heavy, but Rachel focused on providing the best service possible, hoping that Mia's quiet observation was a good sign. After the walkthrough, Mia invited Rachel to sit down with her and the executives in the back office. Rachel felt the nerves creeping in as they all took their seats. This was the moment she had been preparing for, but the stakes had never felt higher. Mia leaned forward, placing her notebook on the table. "Rachel, I've seen some improvements in the store today," she began, her tone neutral. "The floor looks great, and the customer service interactions I witnessed were much better than before." Rachel breathed a silent sigh of relief, but she knew Mia wasn't finished yet. "That being said," Mia continued, "we still need to talk about the long-term vision for this store. One good walkthrough isn't enough to guarantee success. I need to know that you're committed to maintaining this level of service and continuing to improve." Rachel nodded, her mind racing with ideas. "I understand, Miss Davidson. My plan is to implement more staff training sessions, focus on customer feedback, and ensure that we're always listening to the people who shop here." Mia raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued by Rachel's enthusiasm. "That's a good start," she said, "but I'll need to see the results over the next few months. I'll be keeping a close eye on this location." After the meeting, Rachel felt a strange mix of relief and pressure. While Mia had acknowledged the improvements, she had also made it clear that the store wasn't out of the woods yet. Rachel knew that this was only the beginning of a long-term effort to rebuild trust and loyalty, both with the customers and with Mia herself. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, she felt energized. This was her chance to set a new standard for the store, and she was determined not to let it slip away. She gathered her team at the end of the day to debrief. "Mia was impressed with the progress we've made," Rachel said, watching the team's faces light up. "But this is just the beginning. We've set a new bar for ourselves, and we need to keep pushing forward. I'm counting on all of you to help me make this store the best it can be." The team nodded enthusiastically, and Rachel could feel the sense of unity growing among them. They had survived Mia's visit, but more importantly, they had laid the foundation for something better. The weeks following Mia's visit were crucial for Rachel. She implemented new training programs focused on customer service excellence, bringing in outside experts to coach her staff on how to handle difficult situations and deliver an exceptional experience. She also created a system for gathering customer feedback through surveys and online reviews, which allowed her to address any issues quickly before they escalated. One of the most significant changes Rachel introduced was a monthly Customer Appreciation Day, where the store offered special discounts and personal shopping assistance for loyal customers. The first event was a success, drawing in more foot traffic than usual and boosting sales. As Rachel watched her team interacting with customers, she felt proud of the strides they had made. She knew there was still a long way to go, but the changes were already having a positive impact. With the store running smoothly and customer satisfaction at an all-time high, Rachel decided to bring on a customer relations manager. Someone whose sole focus would be ensuring that every shopper left the store satisfied. After an exhaustive hiring process, Rachel found the perfect candidate in Olivia, a young woman with a background in hospitality and a passion for retail. Olivia had worked in customer service for several luxury brands and had a natural talent for connecting with people. On her first day, Olivia immediately made an impact, working the floor with the staff and teaching them subtle techniques to enhance customer interactions. She suggested small touches like offering water to customers or providing personal recommendations based on shopping history. Rachel was impressed by how quickly Olivia integrated herself into the team, and she could already see the positive results. Customers lingered longer, bought more, and left happier. With Olivia on board, Rachel felt even more confident that they were building something truly special. Despite the rising momentum in the store, Rachel knew there was still one big hurdle to overcome: Mia's final evaluation. Mia had made it clear that she would be checking back in on the store after a few months, and Rachel had no doubt that the visit would be unannounced. While Rachel had implemented many improvements, she still felt a lingering anxiety about whether it would be enough to satisfy Mia's high standards. There was a lot riding on this next evaluation, not just for her career, but for the reputation of the entire team. Rachel's nerves were compounded when she received a corporate memo about an upcoming store-wide audit. Mia was bringing in external consultants to assess every aspect of the company, and Rachel's location would be one of the first stores evaluated. This wasn't just a casual checkup. This would be a deep dive into everything from financials to customer satisfaction. The pressure was on, and Rachel knew that she and her team needed to prepare meticulously if they were going to pass with flying colors. Rachel's leadership shone brightest during times of stress, and this was no different. She held a series of meetings with her team, explaining the details of the audit and what would be expected of them. She encouraged her staff to focus not just on appearance and store organization, but also on the subtleties of customer interaction. "It's all about consistency," she told them. "We can't have one day of great service and another day of mediocrity. Every customer deserves the best experience we can give them, every single time." Olivia played a critical role in preparing the staff for the audit. She ran mock scenarios, having employees handle various difficult customer situations to ensure that they were well prepared for anything. Rachel noticed that her team was responding to the challenge with more enthusiasm than ever before. This wasn't just about passing an audit. It was about proving that they had truly transformed the store into a place where customers were treated like VIPs. The day of the audit arrived, and the atmosphere in the store was a mix of nervous energy and readiness. Rachel had arrived early to make sure everything was in perfect order. Every shelf was meticulously organized, every display polished, and every employee primed for the day ahead. The audit team arrived promptly at noon, led by a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, who wasted no time getting to work. Rachel greeted them with a calm professionalism, though her heart was racing inside. The auditors examined everything, from the cleanliness of the changing rooms to the accuracy of the sales reports. They observed how employees greeted customers and handled complaints. They even took note of the store's atmosphere, checking to see if it felt welcoming and engaging. Olivia's training paid off, as each staff member rose to the occasion, handling customer interactions with grace and confidence. Rachel stayed on the floor, ready to jump in if necessary, but she was proud to see her team operating so smoothly on their own. After several hours of thorough examination, the audit team finished their work and gathered in the office with Rachel. Claire, the lead auditor, flipped through her notes, her expression neutral. "Overall," she began, "we're impressed with what we've seen. Your store has made significant improvements since our last visit, and your team is clearly well-trained and engaged. We noticed the attention to detail in customer service, and that's something not many stores can boast. Rachel felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she knew Claire wasn't done. However, Claire continued, there are still a few areas that need work. Your back-office organization, while functional, could be more efficient, especially in terms of inventory management. That said, the customer-facing side of your business is excellent. Rachel nodded, taking the feedback in stride. She knew there was always room for improvement, and she was ready to tackle the next challenge. As Claire left, Rachel felt a sense of accomplishment. They had passed the audit with flying colors, but more importantly, they had proven that their dedication to customer service was now part of the store's culture. Just a few days after the audit, Mia Davidson made her unannounced visit to the store. Rachel had been anticipating this moment for weeks, but now that it was here, she felt ready. The store had passed the audit, the staff were in high spirits, and sales were steadily increasing. When Mia entered the store, her eyes immediately scanned the floor, taking in the changes. She approached Rachel with her usual calm demeanor. "I'm here to see if all those promises you made a few months ago have paid off," Mia said, her tone light but serious. Rachel smiled, feeling more confident than ever. "I think you'll be pleased with what you see, Miss Davidson. Let me show you around." Together, they walked through the store, much like they had during Mia's first visit. But this time, things felt different. The employees were relaxed, the customers were happy, and the atmosphere was vibrant. As they finished their tour, Mia turned to Rachel. "You've done well," she said simply. "I can see the changes, and I'm impressed with the progress. This store is finally living up to its potential." After Mia left, Rachel took a moment to sit down in her office and reflect on everything that had happened over the past few months. She thought back to the day she had denied Mia's return and how that one mistake had turned into the biggest opportunity of her career. It hadn't been easy. There had been moments of doubt, stress, and uncertainty, but Rachel had learned more about leadership and customer service than she ever thought possible. She was proud of the journey her team had taken, from a store that struggled with basic customer interactions to one that thrived on creating a positive, welcoming environment. Rachel realized that success wasn't just about making sales, it was about building relationships, both with her team and with her customers. As she closed her office door for the night, Rachel knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter for both her and the store. With the store running smoothly and customer satisfaction at an all-time high, Rachel began to think about the future. She knew that staying complacent would only lead to stagnation, so she started brainstorming ways to expand the store's success. One idea that had been floating around in her mind for weeks was to launch a personal shopping service for VIP customers, a way to offer even more tailored experiences for their most loyal patrons. Rachel presented the idea to Mia during one of their follow-up meetings. "I think offering a personal shopping experience could set us apart from other retailers," Rachel explained. "We already have strong customer loyalty, and this would allow us to deepen those relationships." Mia listened carefully, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully. She had been impressed by the transformation of Rachel's store, and now she was intrigued by the potential to grow the VIP program company-wide. "It's an interesting idea," Mia said after a pause. "Let's run a pilot program and see how it performs." Rachel left the meeting feeling excited. She knew that if the program succeeded, it could be a game-changer for the store. Rachel wasted no time getting the VIP personal shopping service off the ground. She worked closely with Olivia and the rest of her team to design a seamless, luxury shopping experience for their top customers. The program included one-on-one appointments with stylists, exclusive access to new collections, and personalized recommendations based on shopping history. Rachel wanted every customer who signed up for the service to feel valued and appreciated. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Their first VIP event brought in several of their most loyal customers who were thrilled with the personalized attention they received. Sales from the event exceeded expectations, and many customers expressed interest in returning for more private shopping experiences. Rachel felt a surge of pride as she watched her vision come to life. The store was evolving in ways she hadn't imagined just a few months ago, and it was all thanks to the changes she had implemented. With the success of the VIP program came growing pains. As demand for personal shopping appointments increased, the team struggled to keep up. Appointments were running late, customers were waiting longer for assistance, and complaints started to trickle in. Rachel knew they had to act fast before the service began to suffer. She gathered her team and addressed the issues head-on. "We're doing great work," she said, "but we need to make some adjustments to keep up with demand." Together, they brainstormed solutions, hiring more staff, streamlining the appointment process, and offering online booking to reduce wait times. Rachel also introduced a new training program to help the team manage their time more effectively during appointments. Within weeks, the changes were implemented, and the team was back on track. Customers were once again raving about the VIP service, and Rachel was relieved to see that they had weathered the storm. As the VIP program continued to grow, Rachel knew it was time to expand it beyond the flagship store. She approached Mia with a proposal to roll out the service to select trend-style locations across the country. Mia, impressed with the results of the pilot program, agreed. "Let's start with our top-performing stores," Mia said. "If it's successful there, we can look at expanding even further." Rachel was thrilled. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, to take her vision company-wide. She worked tirelessly with store managers across the country, training them on the VIP service and ensuring that the experience was consistent at every location. The expansion was a huge success. Customers at the new locations loved the personalized attention, and sales increased dramatically. Rachel had turned a simple idea into a cornerstone of TrendStyle's brand. With the VIP program running smoothly nationwide, Rachel turned her attention to the future. She wanted to stay ahead of the curve and keep innovating. One day, during a brainstorming session with her team, Rachel came up with an idea to create a VIP app where customers could book appointments, chat with their personal shoppers, and receive personalized product recommendations. "We're living in a digital world," Rachel said. "Why not bring the VIP experience online?" Her team loved the idea, and they quickly got to work developing the app. When it launched, it was an instant hit. Customers loved the convenience of being able to book appointments and interact with their personal shoppers from their phones. The app also increased sales, as shoppers could easily purchase recommended items with just a few clicks. Rachel's vision of blending technology with personalized service was coming to life, and she couldn't have been more proud. As Rachel's reputation grew within the company, so did her responsibilities. Mia had noticed Rachel's knack for innovation and customer experience, and she invited Rachel to take on a larger role in TrendStyle's corporate strategy. "You've done incredible work with the VIP program," Mia said, "but I think there's even more you can do. How would you feel about taking on a new role as Director of Customer Experience?" Rachel was honored. This was a dream come true. In her new role, she would be responsible for overseeing the customer experience across all of TrendStyle's stores and online platforms. "I'd love to," Rachel replied. "I have so many ideas for how we can take TrendStyle to the next level." Mia smiled. "I'm excited to see what you come up with." As Director of Customer Experience, Rachel dove headfirst into her new role. She worked closely with teams across the company to improve every touchpoint of the customer journey, from the website to the in-store experience. One of her first initiatives was to create a new training program for store associates, focused on empathy and personalized service. "We need to make sure every customer feels valued, whether they're shopping in-store or online," Rachel explained during a company-wide meeting. The new training program was a hit. Customer satisfaction scores skyrocketed, and TrendStyle quickly became known as a brand that truly cared about its shoppers. Rachel also expanded the VIP app, adding features like virtual shopping consultations and exclusive events for top customers. She was constantly thinking of new ways to surprise and delight their customers, and it was paying off. As the years passed, Rachel's impact on TrendStyle grew. She had transformed the company's approach to customer service, created a thriving VIP program, and helped turn TrendStyle into a household name. One evening, as she reflected on her journey, Rachel couldn't help but think back to the day she had denied Mia's return. That single mistake had set her on a path she never could have imagined. Rachel had learned that leadership wasn't just about making sales or hitting targets. It was about building relationships, listening to people, and treating every customer with respect. She was proud of what she had accomplished, but she knew there was still more to do. With new challenges on the horizon, Rachel was ready to keep pushing forward, always looking for the next opportunity to make TrendStyle even better. Thank you so much for watching and following Rachel's journey from a simple mistake to a remarkable transformation. We hope you enjoyed this story of growth, leadership, and the power of empathy. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.